Hey guys, it's Kussi. Welcome back to the third episode of our journey towards a rank that finally allows us to be disrespectful little pricks towards any strangers and pack groups. In the last episode, we kept our golden boy status by receiving even more loot, including 4 set ending on an item level of 441. At a score of 1037, I can tell you we are still not done with the first week of Mythic Plus after starting the series.
When is it gonna end, Robbie?
However, I will make sure we make some big boy progress today, and because I don't want to have 5 episodes about week 1, we are going to speed things up a little bit in this one. With that being said, besides keys from week 1, we will also have our first vault to be excited about, our first set of crafted items are inbound, and we obviously still attempt another shot at the Covenant Ashes of Ember Souls, not only on LFR, but on normal as well, and after that, we will also play the new week of Mythic Plus as well. And if you're mad at me for my luck so far, then buckle up baby, cause we just gonna straight up continue where we left off. Without losing any more time, we got a lot to catch up to do, so grab yourself a drink, get comfy, and like the video if you want me to potentially rub some loot luck off to you. Okay, so at the end of last episode, I gave you a little bit of a teaser of our first, well, unsuccessful key. And of course, we will dive right into that one and we will see what went down. As I mentioned, I invited this band of Germans that applied as a 4-man stack to this key, and even though their gear wasn't as insane, I still had faith to play this proper. In the beginning, things went alright, not clean by all means, but it was still acceptable to a certain degree. The bad stuff started to happen on this pull though. For some reason, we just heavily failed to kick the volley cast those mobsters out, which led to us biting the dust one after the other. 8 deaths before tier that probably could have all been avoided if we just kicked things more efficiently. The boss himself on the other hand was pretty normally played. No big issues until the tank decided to do this.
Bye, have a great time.
This led to me running for my life, the tank getting rest, but he just never seemed to use taunt for whatever reason, which led to me running into my demise. After that we had so many dumb deaths. Like me trying to avoid the frontal from those drakes, while the tank tried to take the frontal away from the group. I won't show you every death in here, since this would take way too long. Just know that most of them either had to do with not kicking proper, which by the way also includes myself, as well as a little lack of healing on some spicy pulls occasionally. But then again, if you avoid more damage, you don't need as much healing. And besides some rather spicy trash pulls, this was okay for the most part. Well, if you don't count the trash before Mochi. That shit didn't rail us once, but almost twice. On the second pull, the tank decided to face tank the cone. I rest him, tried to kick the main mob, and died for it. Unfortunate to say the least. Now on the final boss, I had a good view for the entire thing. Right after I ripped aggro because my weapon procs on pull, I was able to watch the fight be done without me. Could they have rested me to help out? Yes. Did they rather wait until one of their buddies dies? Absolutely. But hey, the key was finished and I'd be damned to complain about anything since I also played like ass the entire dungeon. This is one of those situations where you just don't get bothered by it too much and try to improve your own part in this. So we did that. And while I was a bit insecure after this one, I decided to go back to the roots and do the dungeons I still didn't do on anything between 11 and 13. So Atal Dazar 13 was next, and this went the complete opposite. No deaths, clean 3 chests, and not only did I beat the tank in overall, I also got wrists as a reward. We take that, and since we got plenty of dungeons to cover, let's continue with Waycrest Manor, also on 13. But yet again, this went way too easy, and besides our tank going AFK because his food was delivered, nothing really happened. My party made quick work of this, 174 score and obviously +3, so again, let's go ahead to the next one, which is Galakrond's Fall. Now this one, I had to beg to get into. Applying for multiple keys till I finally get invited, just so I get booted again in an instant.
Oh, hell no, man.
Was it because I was feral? Or was it because maybe some bigger guys applied? I will just assume he's allergic to cats or something. But after a bunch of more invites being declined, I finally got the chance in the +10 Galakronds to show them what's up. And you can guess, because it's +10, nothing really happens either. Besides me absolutely raiding this pack of toxic Just Stains like a madman. Someone looted the accelerating sunglass on a higher item level, so you best believe I, in fact, did shoot my shot for it, just because I felt my luck this episode so far has let me down. But I guess it's a fair call that he gives the things he doesn't need to his friend, as long as it gets used I won't ask twice. The last dungeon I needed for score before reset was Darker Ticket. And in this one, we didn't have big pumpers or geared people that boost their friends. It was in fact a very normal group. So normal that we only timed it without further problems besides a handful of deaths, yet we only timed it by 1. But again, I got loot. Boots this time. But not even BiS stats, so I guess my luck ran out. Oh man, you're gonna be so mad later in this episode. I can already smell the hateful stares. But this now finally ends the actual first week of Mythic Plus for us. 1372 rating, and believe it or not, 15 keys later, we are ready to pick our first vault. So as you can imagine, I eagerly awaited the next day in hope for something big. Something that will juice me up even more. Ember Souls, or maybe the mirror from Murozonds Rise. Well, it's not bad, but not good either. I actually did a fair amount of simming, not only with the items in the vault, but the potential future upgrades with it, and after a pretty intense study session, I decided to go for the set shoulders, as I believe that those would be the option that will stay with me the longest. After that, we did our fair amount of weekly chores in form of Super Bloom, the weekly rep quest, and World Boss, and the only mentionable thing I got was a cloak. Again, crit and mastery, which is what we want. I also did LFR, mainly for the trinket from Smolderon, but also to get this little quest done in order to get a little bit of extra pew pew along the way. Oh, and to also kill Firak to receive our free crafted item upgrade. But unfortunately, the trinket didn't even drop and we didn't get anything else, so we continued to make use of the possibility to get ourselves something nice crafted. After a long consideration and some intense stares on some higher rated Raid.io profiles, I told you awakened the monster. These are the items I decided to go for. At least for now. A belt, as well as a ring, both with the blue silk embellishment that results in us getting a shitload of mastery as long as we stay above 90% HP. As well as an alchemist stone, simply because those usually proc on pull, and the paracausal trinket I was rocking before was by far the lowest item and was dragging down my overall score. After all of those upgrades, we are rocking item level of 459. Pretty substantial improvement from the 441 we started this episode with, I'd say. Now, before we hop into the Mythic Plus rotation of this week, as well as the usual small guide into the current affixes, there's one more thing I did. Normal Amirdrasil. And I gotta be honest, I still don't like raiding. Not even if the numbers are a bit better and moving doesn't punish you as much as when I played on the Warlock, but at least normal is rather chill and there's not much going on. So to quickly go over the mentioned parts of this, when it comes to loot, I think it's fair to say that I didn't need most of it anymore, but the few items I did need, I didn't win. This chest piece would have been a decent upgrade for sure. On the council fight, I legit had a spark of panic in my face when all of a sudden this happened. My first impulse was, oh shit, what did I do wrong? Because honestly, if any boss in here has a mechanic that will one-shot, I don't know it at all. But turns out, it was the tank's fault, so I got my instant relief. And because one only needs 7 bosses killed in order to have all 3 slots available, I was certain I will quit this after Smolderon regardless of if I win anything or not. So we killed Smolderon and it didn't drop again. Oh wait, yes it did, but someone rolled a 95 to mess with rather quickly. So your boy had no choice but to whip out the most juice D&D approved dices this world has to offer to... Not even close, unlucky. Well, that was it for my raid adventure, but at least we got our vault stacked and maybe we get lucky there. First key of the new week is a 12th Throne of Tides because, yes, I again got this absolute wank of a dungeon as my key. I really don't like it. Thoughts? But as always, let's quickly go over the affixes for this week. As you all know, after Fortified follows Tyrannical. Bosses get bulk buff to get more HP and more juice in their right hook. To make things more interesting, and to check if the party is more group oriented, we also got Afflicted. This will let either 1 or 2 ghosts spawn in dire need of help, so they either need to be healed full or simply dispelled. Which means we absolutely spec into Remove Corruption to help out whenever one is spawning. Keep in mind, a lot of bosses or trash packs require a healer dispel to work out. So if you are a class that can skill into some sort of dispel for this week, or if you ask me in general, do it. Help the party out. Last but not least is bolstering. Now those OG gamers will remember bolstering very badly. But good news, it got nerfed. It only increases the damage of affected targets and no longer the HP of them as well. And in my own humble opinion, for normal keys, bolstering on tyrannical ain't that bad. On higher keys, probably a different story. So what we will do to cope with those extra challenges in our dungeons is simple. We use the curse, and we tunnel as much damage as we can into the prior targets, or the ones that look like they got the biggest HP pool. This is also the build I'm running for this session, as I tried to find a decent balance between AoE pump as well as a good amount of single target to be potent on bosses. Let's see if it works out. I'd say the single target ain't that bad. Now because this is only a plus 12, this again got absolutely railed, and it was here that I decided to push this further. So my goal was to get into the plus 17 bracket ASAP. But because I don't want to be a total wussy, I invited a tank double DPS pre-made with an item level equal to mine. Which I guess also shows on the bosses specifically. Me being the one that needs to pump, you gotta be out of your mind. At least this run went a lot better than the other one we had earlier. Well, sort of. On the final boss, I again dirt napped like my life depends on it. And unfortunately, our red paladin either didn't find the CR button or he or she just absolutely refuses to use it on me. So I laid there for the entire effing fight. Again, sucks to suck, man. They just ended this entire thing without me being any part of it. And of course, I got rewarded with an item for it. Granted, I don't need the item, but still, isn't that a dumb theory? After that, we kept the grind towards plus 17 going by doing the darker ticket we just got. This again became stupid on so many levels. The Guardian Druid was pumping like there's no tomorrow, and the absurd level of wonkiness peaked when I died just before the third boss, which led to me releasing and them just pulling the boss without me. For the third damn time, I'm getting absolutely cucked by a boss fight, and I was only able to watch as others have fun. Call me Cucky Slayer. On Saviors, however, I was all there, doing a pretty solid amount of damage for 460 item level, I'd say, until I just didn't get healed anymore while being targeted by the drain. Unlucky. This raised our score to an overall of 1583, but what follows next is easily the highlight of this episode. From this key, we got an 18 Galakrond's Fall, and if you don't know this, I will tell you. Galakrond's Fall above 17 is an absolute favorite for super geared people. There are so many incredible items that drop there for pretty much everyone. Big ass caster stuff that often is also very tempting for healers. We got time strike weapons for the likes of rogues as well as demon hunters, accelerating sandglass as well as a tank cheat death trinket. People love this key, and it didn't take long till I got this insane party. Oh, by the way, I don't want to hear a word. If you get a Galakrond's key, you get boosted. I don't make the rules, I just abuse them. Now this pretty much started as I imagined a lot of fire keys would. Big ass pull. Pulling from the first pack to the second, and also getting the boss along with it. I didn't expect that, to be honest, and unfortunately I made the big mistake of staying too close to those circles. Because as soon as the remaining trash mobs started spinning, I couldn't see shit anymore, which led to me getting ass blasted by one of those little balls. Besides that, the boss fight never seemed in danger, so our tank just decided we aren't going fast enough, leading into him pulling half of the next room at a time. What an absolute gigachat. While I yet again pressed the release button, I wondered if this is the Asmongold experience. I tell you, this was insane to be a part of. 3 deaths on reaching the final boss, 2 of them were mine, and the Ridicron also just got railed first try, which led to us not only timing this, but 3-chesting our first 18 as well. I felt so dirty on this one. Filth that got thrown into a carriage and carried without even having to lift a finger. I really tried to be part of this gang, and even though the overall damage didn't look too bad, I still felt I should have apologized. And just to top this entire shitshow off, I once again get loot. The effin' accelerating sandglass again, but this time on a hero item track. Meaning besides getting it from the vault now, this is the best version of it. Do you know this feeling when good stuff happens to you and you just want to push it away because you feel like you don't deserve it? This druid gets way too much good stuff.